Today's topic, after a long time, I would like to speak about is how to bring enthusiasm in a daily life. How to be more motivated and enthusiastic about what you do. So this is the only one thing which I am going to prescribe to myself to practice, so that I am giving this to everybody. This is something which can be understood and practiced on a daily basis. The very reason for us to be more enthusiastic about life is by evolving the primordial quality of a human to a possible quality of human. So, evolving in a lifetime by expanding your being, you can expand your being. You can expand your, let go your mind and realize your being, realizing the presence or present. You basically evolve from the primordial, fundamental quality of a human to a possible quality of a human. I think this can create a continuous process inside you to evolve from this base quality to best qualities. So, average human or any human who does not have the realization of life can just fighting with the duality of life or the survival capacity of a life or survivability of a life. But if you are understood, if you understand the basic nature of this life, you may be able to relax from the mundane survival kick you may have on a daily basis. Elevating you from the fundamental necessity to blissful nature is very, maybe it is not that easy because of the influence of mind, which is the fundamental quality of a human, can interfere. It's like a cow get up in the morning and then it wants to, or the cow or a bull wants to get rid of the horn, and then every day morning it get up and the horn is there. Man, I want to get rid of this horn. It doesn't look in my face. But the nature, but the reality is, it is inevitable. For a bull to get rid of the horn is inevitable. So do human. Getting rid of a thought, getting rid of a mind is almost impossible. But at the same time, a bull need not to engage itself by using the horn every day, every hour, every minute. Rather, it can use as and when it is required to the minimum to protect itself. Same way, human can use their mind, their thought, just to protect themselves or fetch food. More than that, there is no necessity of continuous engagement of those utils or those resources or those equipment or those whatever it is. So once you understand that every struggle you may come across in your life is just a struggle of your mind, if you can clearly understand this one-liner, you can relax from the struggle itself. So always try to see the constant which does not change, fluctuate. Even there is a struggle, even there is a problem, even there is this and that. Try to understand the things which are not changing is never going to change. It's constantly permanent on the planet Earth. The only fluctuation we may experience is our mind. The mind is continuously telling us, this is a struggle, this is a problem, this is that, because that's how it is designed to look or perceive the world. So obviously, when you look through those glasses of mind, everything is going to be either challenge or more struggle, more problem, more solution, and so on and so forth. So the mind has a capacity to give both problem and a solution, because the mind is the one who creates problem, so obviously it creates solution too. That is why the duality exists in mind, not in matter. Matter and energy is completely, it's just there with the coherence of nature. Only the mind does not fit in that coherence. It fluctuates. That fluctuation is what we see on a daily basis. The struggle, the problems, the unreality, and so on and so forth. Rest of the world is coherence with the nature, so there is no fluctuation for them. A bird which is looking for a grain, it does not go on create a opposite thought of I'm not going to get a grain. It is going to fly with that hunger in his stomach, and it will find a grain. And that's a nature is designed that way. So the bird does not fall into a depression of worrying that whether I will get a grain or not. Whereas human being, whether they work full-time job or part-time job or a day-to-day job or hourly job, whatever it is, even though they have a job at hand, they are worried about tomorrow whether I will have a job. The bird which is looking for a grain, it is looking for a grain for that moment, not worried and perturbed and confused about tomorrow, whether doubting tomorrow that whether I will have it or not, because the bird doesn't have that consciousness of tomorrow, which is a blessing. At the same time, the mind, which is overprotective in nature, creates this problem tomorrow, and then it creates a solution also. That solution will solve that problem of tomorrow but it will create another many problems. And that is why the mind go on generates several problems and it go on find several solutions to it. So the enthusiasm of life lies in the way you understand the life, the way you encounter the problem, the way you encounter the problem and the way you resolve the problem. So whenever you encounter problem, if you have a clarity that the mind is encountering and creating the problem, if you have that clarity, the problem itself cannot haunt you too much, because whenever there is a necessity, of course there is a way of resolving it. But if there is no necessity, that's where the psychological problems kick in. And there is no solution to it because there is no problem to it. If there is a real problem, of course there is a solution. But if there is no real problem, of course there won't be any solution either. People can say that, no, we have real problem, but we don't have a solution. I have this one, I have that problem, but there is no solution to it. That means we need to understand the reality of life. When things are not happening the way we wanted, that is where we need to understand His compassion or whatever God's presence or His reality saying that what I can do to fix this problem. You need to look for the constant which is existing in this continuous changes. So there is a constant remains in this continuous changes. We need to stick on to this constant which is not changing in this continuous changes, which is you, which is your presence, your experiences. So that moment which never changes in every moment which comes to you, the moment is exactly the same way it comes to you. Only the way you see it is changing. So there is a constant changing is happening, which is a fluctuation of your mind. But there are certain things which does not change. Say for example in an atom, an electron, proton and neutron continuously have a fluctuation from that energy. But the underneath the bed which lies on is an Higgs boson, and absolutely there is no change, which is constantly there with great intelligence within it. Same way, whenever there is a fluctuation happens inside you, as your mind always like electron, proton and neutron, your thought process fluctuates from the bed of that Higgs boson, which we call it as a constant, which is we call it as Brahman or God or whatever you may call it as. And that remains constant all the time. So whenever the fluctuation is not favorable to you, it is better to understand that non-fluctuate permanent constant, which is the bed itself where all this fluctuation arises. So when you focus on that, you understand the whole nature is that constant which remains. So the fluctuation is just a momentary. It comes and it goes. It's like waves in the ocean. But when the fluctuation calm down, it just reside. It just conform to the source where it is arise from. Same way, our life is exactly momentarily a fluctuation from that big ocean, and that fluctuations differ, conform to that ocean, which is where you arise from, and that gives you an understanding of realization of this life. So enthusiasm lies wherein which to handle any problem and every problem, looking at the fluctuated mind or the confused mind or confusing mind, which is trying to tell you something is wrong. There is a problem, something to resolve. If it is a necessity, it just resolve the problem, and that capacity you may have. So I don't know what